Thank you very much for staying with us. Yes, I have the Chief Executive Officer of Nigerian Investment Promotion Council, Yewande Sadiku. She's joining me from Abuja studios. Thank you very much for your time. I must really appreciate this.
Thank you very much, Tolulokwe, for having me.
Yes, I want to start with the workings of your commission. What's been playing out before we go into some nitty-gritty of all of these issues? What's been happening? How well has the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, how well have you fared all the while?
We have a tough mandate. We have, like many agencies in Nigeria, minimal resources to work with, and we do the best we can within the context of what we have. But we understand the enormity of the mandate, and we take it very seriously. So we've gone through a series of strategies aimed at ensuring that we get more out of what we have. And it's ultimately about strategic positioning and proactively chasing the right kind of investments. I completely believe that it's proactive investment promotion that will get us there. So we spent a lot of energy, we spent a lot of time essentially building the organization for the mandate that it was created to achieve.
All right, let's now look at the compendium of investment incentives in Nigeria, which is the product of a collaboration between Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission and Federal Inland Revenue Service. Looking at COVID-19 and all that has happened, fiscal incentives in Nigerian tax laws and sector-wide fiscal concessions are some of the go-to support system for investment. Tell us how this has brought some ease to the entire business climate.
So the Compendium of Investment Incentives is actually a document that was published in 2017, and we're working on an update now. What it does is to pull together all the incentives that exist from government agencies to make it easier for investors to find that information. Invariably, NIPC doesn't create the incentives. We advise on them, but our job is to make it easier for investors to get access to them. So we're working on updating that document, again in conjunction with FIRS, so that it reflects the provisions of the Finance Act 2019. But because we're on the verge of another Finance Act for 2021, we'll delay the publication until the Finance Act 2021 is completed. But it will reflect the things that came out of the new CAMA as well.
We talked about your published book of states, which captures investment opportunities and competitive advantage by states. How well are states keen into this agenda, talking about promoting investment interstate?
We could not have produced that document without the support of the states. And I'd like to put on record, the unflinching support that we got from the Nigeria Governors Forum. Even though NIPC is a federal government agency, in reality, the investments will sit in the 36 states of Nigeria and the FCT. So we thought it was important to work very closely with all of the governors, to work with them to document on a standardized basis the competitive advantages that each state has and the investment prospects that the governors want to promote. In reality, it's only with this foundational information that we can then build on the next step. And the next step for me, for each of the states, is to go through a series of given the competitive advantages either for the state or for the region. What investors should we be targeting in Nigeria to get them to come and invest in that state or in that region? We shouldn't market all the 36 states as if they were the same, because they are not the same. From Lagos to Borno, which is at two ends, from Abia to Zamfara, which is the A to Z. The states all have very interesting propositions on the basis of which each one can differentiate themselves. And I think it is only when we do that, that we'll achieve the best for Nigeria. But completely, without the support of the governors, we would not have got there. And the governors have been very supportive for the next stage of the process as well.
Let's look at promotion of non-oil exports and stronger investment plans. This is a new frontier as the diversification mantra of government intensifies. Now, what more do you expect with all of the efforts being made, particularly at this time? We need to promote investments and build confidence. With all of these challenges, how are you able to convince investors to come in? What are you doing more?
It's a tough job, but I find in engagement with investors, honesty is important. Investors realize that, operating in Nigeria and operating with the country that ranks first in ease of doing business are not the same. They understand the risk-reward paradigm. So when they're coming to Nigeria, they understand that the prospects of Nigeria are fantastic and compelling, but that there are some challenges. So we help them understand what the challenges may be. We work with them on how to mitigate those challenges. We engage government agencies on their behalf and work shoulder to shoulder. But investors will continue to come to Nigeria because because the investment prospect of Nigeria, without a doubt, are compelling. We just need to continue the work of making it progressively easier for them, but also at NIPC sharpening our saw. So we can go from broad-based investment promotion to more targeted investment promotion, where we're targeting for specific sectors, specific companies, where we're working with our friends in the diplomatic community to better target the investor universes in their countries. But targeted investment promotion, I believe will help us. The challenges that investors have in that instance, from hand-holding them, we can help to resolve the issues as they arise. And hopefully, having walked through a road to resolve an issue for an investor, we now develop a template, if you like, for building policies that are practical and help other investors make it easier for them to walk the same investment journey.
Now, looking at the sectors, I saw agriculture, manufacturing, education, solid mineral development, as well as real estate. That seems to be the focus.
We don't have a specific focus in terms of sector, but if you look at Nigeria's GDP, 23% of it is agriculture.
Yes.
It also accounts for 37–40% of labor. But we have a high level of post-harvest losses. It's estimated at 40–60%. So in agriculture in particular, if we can reduce the post-harvest losses and better connect agriculture to manufacturing, better connect agriculture to trade, which is the second largest singular part of Nigeria's GDP, we can unlock a lot of economic value. And there are a number of government agencies that are working on that initiative. I mean, NERSAL, for instance, launched last week a SAT-C project that is aimed at essentially better connecting a wide number of small farmers to aggregation and collation centers, essentially aimed, one, at minimizing post-harvest losses, two, better connecting them to reducing the route to market for them and minimizing the interference, if you like, of middlemen.
All right, see, let me also ask you, we see some partnership with like NOTAP and NIPC towards technology transfer in Nigeria through foreign direct investments. I'm looking at the positives that this will have for Africa's most populous nation, Nigeria.
NIPC's job cannot be achieved except with partnership with different parties. So the compendium of investment incentives you mentioned, we did with FIRS. The Book of States we did with the Nigerian Governors Forum. We have a number of things that we do with different government agencies, but our work essentially is to help those government agencies better interact with the investing community and better tweak their practices, processes, and engagement and the like, with the business community.
You agree with me that there's been disruptions following COVID-19 and all that has happened, investors moving away funds even from our capital markets. I'm thinking about the kind of recovery you're also seeing. How soon do you see that confidence coming back to investors saying, okay, I'm coming back to Nigeria. Yes, you're doing your job. A lot is being done for the ease of doing business. But how soon do you see us having that kind of investment that we really need for Nigeria?
So Nigeria does not exist in a vacuum, and the investment universe is essentially like a village. What affects one, affects many. The expectation was this year, next year, investment, FDI flows in particular, will fall 40 to 50%. That's the global expectation. The expectation for Nigeria will follow the same trend. The expectation, though, is that by 2022, we will start to see recovery. In reality, some recovery was expected in Q3, Q4, because we better understand COVID and we better understand, how to carry on life and business despite it. But I don't expect investment levels to return to the levels of normalcy we had before 2022. I think 2021 will be that transitional year. And the winners that COVID has thrown up, or the new realities, that COVID has brought to bear, will also affect, the kind of investors we see, and the way we market investors. So COVID demonstrated that the most vulnerable, suffer the most. So COVID also demonstrated that the things that affect you affect me, that we all have a vested interest essentially towards helping each other. So I believe when capital returns, that capital will return with a bit more sympathy, and sympathy in the context of it will be looking more for impact. I don't think that investors will trade financial returns for impact, but I think investors will be more focused on ensuring that they are not looking only at financial returns, but they're also looking at impact. This morning, I chaired a session where we talked about gender lens investing. It's an area of impact investing that I believe will be even more relevant, after COVID. But impact will be more relevant, inclusion will be more relevant, youth engagement will be more relevant, and that will feed into the investment space. I also believe that investments that have a large job-creating impact, so that's why I mentioned agriculture, but we don't want agriculture on its own. It's the connection of agriculture to industry that will really unlock for Nigeria. Then there are many sectors where the traditional restrictions don't exist, and I dare say that is why in fintech, Nigeria seems to do so well. The Nigerian banking industry is one of the most advanced in the world, and Nigeria has this entrepreneurial juice, particularly in the context of technology. We have a youth population that is very tech savvy. I expect that we will continue to leverage as well. So developing technology, that fine interface of technology and finance, where Nigeria is leading in many ways. I believe post-COVID will be even more, the impact we'll see there will be even greater.
Okay, let's round up on this note. Many say, or there's been an argument that one thing that also interests investors in coming to Nigeria is the population. And they say the population attracts the investors to Africa. How well are we taking advantage of this population in-house?
We take advantage of it all the time. Investors come to, an undeniable fact about Nigeria's attraction is the size of the market. And if you disaggregate that market from professionals to the middle class to the ultra wealthy, there's a large enough market for any investor type, for aspirational investors, even for investors who are for aspirational investors, and for investors who are looking for large markets. But Nigeria's market size is without a doubt one of the key attractions. If we think in the context of the AFCFTA, investors should ideally be looking for a location where they can situate conveniently their business object, but where they can also have ready access locationally, to a market. But without a doubt, we leverage Nigeria's market size, without a doubt, all the time.
All right, on the final note, CEO, before you go, you're the chief, number one investment person that's been the CEO of the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission. What do you have to tell investors at this time about your country? Just a message for them. I know it's
Nigeria is currently the 7th most populous country in the world. It's estimated to be the 3rd most populous. Nigeria is estimated by 2050 to be the 14th largest economy in the world. I ask investors all the time, what kind of relationship do you want to have with that country? If you think in the context of Nigeria's entrepreneurial energy, the large percentage of youth that we have, and their can-do attitude, their can-do spirit, the fact that Nigerians are not held back by whatever barriers that there may be. Nigerians think in the context of what is possible, and they don't just think, Nigerians go for it. So we're more entrepreneurial, more innovative, and more aspirational than many countries are. For investors who can work in the context of Nigeria, I mean, you have to work. You cannot bring a template that works in other countries and just slap it in Nigeria. You have to tweak it in the context of what is locally relevant. And many investors have demonstrated that it is possible to do fantastic business in Nigeria. So I invite all investors to take advantage of the opportunity that Nigeria represents.
I must thank you very much, Chief Executive Officer, Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, Yewande Sadiku. Thank you for spending your time with us this afternoon. I really appreciate this.
Thank you very much for having me, Tolulope.